Okay, turn the page from the last game to the upcoming opponent. And like I said yesterday, um, excited, about this week, and need to have a great day of prep today and stack days, meetings, practices, and give ourselves the best chance Saturday. So play 1 to 150. We can play our best. So playing a great football team. A lot of great players across the board, dominant, really haven't been challenged this year. I guess you could say Texas, who scored a touchdown with 3 minutes to go to make it 14-7. And Michigan got off to a good start, but then, Ohio State took control. So, other than the Texas game, they've got 3 18-point wins, their closest games, but in all those games they were in complete control. Questions?
Yeah, Curt, you mentioned Ohio State's defense being a little different than it was last year, obviously, under Patricia. What did you see when you kind of watched a little more film of the last 24 hours? What are those differences, or what are the key differences you saw from Chip Knowles?
Yeah, and still kind of learning them as we speak. More looks in the secondary for sure, more coverages, a few more different kinds of pressures. And it's a different defense. And they're good. That's why they're number one in the country. Least amount of points, least amount of yards, red area defense, great on third down, fourth down, 30 sacks, give up 70 yards rushing the game, 130 passing. And they're dominant on offense, obviously. The quarterback's playing great. They got big-time weapons on the outside. And the tight end, too, Claire, is a weapon. And the running backs have gotten better every week and had big days last week against Michigan. Special teams are really good. And if you all remember, special teams was a big part of our downfall last year in that game. So our special teams, aside from that game, were excellent last year, and they've been very good this year. So they're going to need to be real good Saturday.
Curt, you've talked about just over the last 2 years, the extent to which you bet on yourself. You've worked your way up through coaching. On Friday night, Fernando said, I think he said it was Pat Coogan who kind of delivered this message post-game, or maybe it was pre-game, forgive me, that your team is made up of guys that he called like misfits, guys that maybe had been rejected somewhere else, had to kind of fight for this opportunity. Do you think there is a kinship between sort of your experience and the experience of some of the guys on your roster in terms of what motivates these players, both individually and collectively, especially in a game like this where you're playing a program that has got all of the sort of, I don't know, whatever word you want to use that a program like Ohio State's going to have?
I think maybe to some degree that was the case last year, where you had a number of guys that followed me that had something to prove, and a number of other transfers that had joined, some of them from the G5 level. That was, I think, Pat Coogan's angle to kind of get everybody fired up. I don't view our team as a bunch of misfits at all. We got a lot of good football players that have proven themselves collegiately. They have high character, high intelligence, work hard, and there's a lot of people in the country that love to have a lot of our guys. I promise you that. But I do give Pat credit for finding an angle to kind of get everybody juiced. Pat's probably got a little Notre Dame in him still, so maybe from his perspective we are misfits. That's a joke. No, Pat Coogan's been a key addition to the team. He's one of our great leaders. So we recognize the challenge. We respect Ohio State. Not pleased with really the way we played last year. We went there, our first real big test on a national level. We've talked through that yesterday, the things that happened in that game. But this is a different team.
Yeah, Coach, your defense throughout the whole season has been pretty dominant, top five in pretty much whatever category you want to look at. I'm just curious your thoughts on why it's played at that level, pretty much sustained it through 13 regular season games.
The only way I can really answer that question, to be quite honest with you, is since our first year at JMU in 19, we're philosophically, we wanted to create TFL sacks and be great against the run and create havoc. That we have played great defense every year since 19. And there's a pride and tradition about playing defense here that we carried over to Indiana. And it's all about people. It's the program philosophy, but then you got to look at the leader of the defense, Bryant Haynes, who I think is an excellent football coach, tactician, linebacker coach, game day coach. And then you got to look at the guys playing defense for us. The Fishers, the Pawns, Bones, Jones, Hardy, Tucker, Daly, the guys that are really playing really, really well. Our safeties are playing well. I mean, they're all, there's room for improvement, trust me. But there's a pride about playing defense. And those guys carried on to the field.
Yeah, Curt, you'd mentioned yesterday about maybe Ohio State holding back a little bit offensively, which Ryan Day sort of confirmed a little bit, but I'm sure all teams do it. How do you prepare for the unknown? And you can talk a little bit about the way you and your staff make in-game adjustments.
Well, I think when you get to this point in the year, you've seen almost everything, right? I mean, there's a lot of plays out there that we could run that we haven't run, and I'm sure that they could run that they haven't run. But we've got 12 games on them. They've got 12 games on us. And, we know their personnel pretty well, and they know our personnel pretty well. And so we've got an idea how we think they'll attack us. I'm sure they have an idea how they think we'll attack them. And you put your best plan together to put your guys in position to make plays, and then you've got to execute it. And the thing about college football today with the pads on the sideline, you can see exactly what went on the series before. There's no gray area. In the old days, you used to get communication from guys on the bench and then come in Sunday and half of it was wrong. There is no gray area anymore. So you can make quicker adjustments now than you could in the past. And it's made the game better.
What stands out about Julian Sayin this season and how your defense can kind of fluster him, considering, he's only started a dozen games for Ohio State?
Yeah, he's played with a lot of poise. He doesn't look like a guy that's in his first year as a starter. He looks like he sees the field very well, throws the ball on rhythm. He can really rip it. He's got a tight release, a lot of velocity on the ball, very accurate, and they've done a nice job protecting him. And obviously he's got great weapons to throw to. And I think a little bit like us, they don't put the ball in his hand and say, win the game. They're balanced. They want to run the football and throw the football, both, and as do we. And that takes some pressure off the quarterback. Whereas some teams are a little bit more into points, stats, whatever, want to throw the ball more. Neither of these two teams do that.
On that Zoom, I think you said that last year's team, playing Ohio State, just wasn't ready, like in that moment on that stage. Why have you guys just kind of met the moment each time it's arrived throughout the fall, and why are you confident you guys can meet that moment, that stage on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, my comment was looking back, a year ago, objectively speaking, you would have to say that it became too big for us at some point in the second quarter and into the third. And we're going to find out Saturday how ready we are. What I can tell you about this football team is we've met every challenge up to this point because we prepare consistently, the way you need to prepare, and put it on the field. And all three phases have been very consistent. And that's what it's going to take this week. detailed preparation, commit to the preparation, eliminate the noise and the clutter, put yourself in the best position to play your best on Saturday, individually and collectively. And it's my job to make sure that happens, and the assistant coaches. And with that done, 5 days from now, our guys will walk on the field with confidence that they will get the job done.
Zach, on your right in saying
Last year you said depth in the trenches was the biggest difference between your team and teams like Ohio State. How far along do you think you guys have come specifically in those two areas as far as depth and in the trenches is concerned to battle and match up with Ohio State?
Yeah, and some of the issue was frontline players too, not just depth. But depth helps because now you can rest your frontline players. We're probably a little deeper on the offensive line than we were last year. I can't say the same thing about our defensive line in terms of our depth. We had pretty good depth last year on the defensive line, but we're getting good production from the guys that are playing. I think when we went to Oregon, what we were able to do up front defensively was vital to us being successful in winning that football game, especially in the second. We dominated up front on defense. And we're going to need an outstanding game from our guys this Saturday.
Same way you're right, Tom.
Coach, Saturday and all week really is going to be a big showcase for your program. In the state, Ohio State and you guys go for a lot of the same prospects, both in the portal and in high school. What kind of messaging do you want to send out to these prospects who might be choosing between the two schools to say, like, what you're about?
Yeah. Well, from our perspective, we're just getting ready to play a football game. So I don't think about it like that. But I will answer your question. I'd like to think we're at the level of Ohio State in terms of recruiting, but we're not right now. Ohio State's in a league of their own for a lot of different reasons. And a big part of it is their tradition, their winning history, and all the national championships they've won. And the money that they've put into the program over a long, extended period of time. Are we closing that gap? Yeah, I think we're closing that gap. And what would a successful performance do on Saturday? Well, it would do a lot, a whole lot. There's a lot of talk about the college football calendar right now. Well, we're getting ready to play the Big Ten championship game. Wednesday's the early signing period for the high school guys. Fortunately, they're all committed, and our recruiting department can handle most of that, and coaches can focus on their preparation. And, and I won't even get into the portal part of it. But there's no question there'll be a lot of eyes on this game. It's a great matchup. And I'm confident that we'll respond the right way.
Tom, on your right to Nicole.
Curt, one of the things that comes up when you're dealing with games after game and such, but how much is it underlooked and maybe underappreciated, just the individual player development that goes on here with guys getting better and better every week, and how much your coaching staff really from top to bottom has been a big part of that really in these last 2 years?
It's huge. Building a program and being successful used to be all about recruiting and development. Now you add retention to the mix. But development is what it's all about. Because there's a lot of good football players out there. There aren't many great, unusual players out there, right? Ohio State's got a few of those. And we got some really good players. But the development piece and what you do with them in the weight room and the off-season program, both in the winter and the summer, your philosophy, offense, defense, special teams, the intangibles you create on your football team, the things you put in their head, the messaging, how you practice. Can you keep them healthy? Do you have a good culture? Do they like it here? Do they like each other? Do you have good leadership? That's all part of development. And I think we've excelled in those areas. When I first took over as a head coach, I was fortunate that, I mean, we turned the program around right away. But I was able to make some mistakes at that level, year 1, year 2, year 3, and learn from them. So that by year 6, year 5, it's kind of like I'd hit my stride. But you know, we're always working to improve what we do organizationally, and I think the organizational discipline that we have is really important here. That everybody's on the same page, everybody's thinking alike, and you know, that's what it takes when you're the CEO of a program, a football program, P4. The bottom line is you got to change the way people think, and as the leader, you got to get everybody to think alike and buy into the team vision, and you know, sacrifice, put personal goals sort of aside for the betterment of the team. Because when the team's successful, everybody benefits. More all-conference, more all-American, more NFL draft choices, etc. And so development is huge, and I give our assistant coaches a ton of credit for that. Coach Haynes, Coach Shanahan, Grant Kane, Coach Bostad, Derek Goings, every single position coach. You know, we've got great people upstairs, and we have great people in that locker room.
You touched upon it a bit in your opening statement. Ohio State hasn't really been challenged much this season. You guys have had those moments where you've been battle tested. How could that be an asset going into Saturday?
Well, we've been in some close games and down to the wire games. And, you know, when you're successful in those kind of situations, it can only add to your confidence and belief that the next time you're in one, you're going to make it happen because you have in the past.
We just capped off our 12-0 regular season, which cements the first time in IU football history that a team has gone undefeated in the regular season. And now we have a fantastic opportunity in front of us in a heavyweight match against Ohio State in order to win a Big Ten championship game.
Thanks, Fernando. Our first question today goes to Scott Docterman.
Good afternoon, Fernando. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to ask you about the offense that you've been the captain for here for the last several months. How was it explained to you what you would be doing, what the things you were going to be looking at pre-snap, post-snap, throughout the play when Coach Cignetti wanted you to come there, and how have you been able to execute it in a way that's been so incredible thus far this year?
Yeah, first of all, I've been blessed and honored to be one of the many captains on the offensive side of the ball, alongside Pat Coogan, Ryan Nowakowski, Elijah Surratt, so many great leaders in the offense. I think it's helped us so much to be a player-led offense throughout this year. With the offense, my younger brother, Alberto Mendoza, is also a quarterback on the Indiana team. He's extremely effective, and he's a fantastic player. So alongside the coaching of Coach Cignetti, Coach Shanahan, and Coach Whitmer, and getting the fine details of every play within the offense, every situation with the offense, as they're a very detailed-oriented group, which I think makes the Indiana offense so special. I've also had the player experience from my younger brother, Alberto, incorporating studying whenever we're studying at the house together, whenever I'm studying at the facility with other players and other offensive transfers, or just offensive players who are returning as well, to kind of get their viewpoints in the offense. I would say is a big culmination of the coaches and players combined with each other in order to do extra installs, more film, in order to really get this offense done, because we had a lot of transfers this year on the offensive side of the ball. And like I said before, it really comes down to the details of it. Coach Whitmer, or my quarterback coach, has done a fantastic job of implementing the pimp of each play, of each pass play, which means protection, intent, mechanics, and problems of each play, so that I have a detailed approach and detailed process for every single play.
Our next question comes from Zach Osterman.
Fernando, I think we've probably asked you about this in the moment, but especially when you have, the bye week, you have maybe a little time to step back and take a more holistic view. The game-winning touchdown drives against Iowa, against Oregon, I know that was not in the last 2 minutes, but it does turn out to be the game winner, and obviously against Penn State. What are the things that you think you learned from each of those experiences, and were there through lines that you could draw in terms of, in those moments, these were the things that made me successful?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that made our team successful in that way and made myself successful. And I would say it's just the teammates and brotherhoods that we have within each other. It's an unwavering belief and confidence with each other. Once we got the Iowa game-winning drive, we had a feather in our cap where we're able to repeat what we did in Oregon. And then by the time we're at the Penn State game-winning drive, we're in the huddle saying, this is what we do. We win close games. We come back from behind and we win games like this. And at that point, the unwavering belief that the offensive line has within each other and the entire offense, that every position group has within each other and in the other positions group, whether another position might trip up and fall, another one is always there to bring them up and pull them up from the ground. And that is so special, especially in such a transactional game nowadays where everybody's worried about personal stats and personal glory. I believe that our offense has been able to have those resiliency and drives because of the selflessness implemented by our coaches, and now it's player-led in order to be selfless, in order to have those game-winning drives, in order to run your route the hardest you can possibly can to get someone else open on that drive, to block your butt off on that drive, for myself to be disciplined and take the check down on that drive. And there's so many special moments, and I really just think it all ties back to the culmination of the brotherhood that we have in the locker room about caring with one each other and then having the belief in one each other.
Our next question is from Zach Browning. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, Fernando, when you break down film, what's your process? Do you focus, when you're looking at Ohio State's defense, what do you prioritize? And I'm not sure how much you've been able to watch yet, but what stood out to you so far?
Yeah, luckily our game was Friday, so I had the whole Saturday and Sunday to watch film as well as take a rest and to take a deep breath and self-evaluate the Purdue game as well. And with that, I have a routine that I've used throughout the entire season. And for any big game, especially like this, I had a Saturday, so I had an extra day to prepare, which is great, but I'm not going to change my routine, just because this is the Big Ten championship game, as I believe the routine is already very process oriented, and that is all that I can control. My quarterback coach, Coach Whitmer, has instilled a plan where I am watching different elements of the defense every single day in order to break down and in order to digest it in a way where not only I could understand what they're doing on defense, but also be able to implement it and apply it when I see it on the field and see their keys and tells. And that is a Sunday through Friday system that we use. And now it was a Saturday through Friday system that going to use this week. And with that, our room, especially the quarterback room, we're extremely process oriented. And my job is to stick to that process this week against a fantastic led defense by Coach Patricia, by Caleb Downs, and so many other fantastic players and coaches on that defensive staff over there at Ohio State, is to stick to the process and to stick to what has gotten us to this point.
Our next question is from Stefan Kreisnig.
Fernando, I wanted to follow up there a little bit on Ohio State's defense. We've heard a lot of coaches and players and quarterbacks throughout the season talk about how difficult they are to kind of digest pre-snap, but also how post-snap it might be something completely different than what you thought you were getting. I guess how much of that do you see on film, and how difficult, I guess, is it to diagnose, what's going to be coming on any given snap against this team?
Yeah, the Ohio State defense, Coach Patricia does a fantastic job. I was actually able to meet him 2 years ago at the Manning Passing Academy, and that guy is a fantastic football mind. I was a Patriots fan growing up, so I've been lucky enough to watch his defense for a long, long time. Not at that point, I wasn't watching defenses very technically, but just always had the pleasure of being a Coach Patricia fan. And there's so many great players on defense that do such a great job, and they're all tied into a string where they're disguising pre-snap, then reacting post-snap, and they really are a great bunch of defensive players that play with each other and have a fantastic scheme to complement their skill. It's going to be a tough challenge. It's going to be a tough opportunity. A lot of quarterbacks have struggled throughout the entire season with them, and there's a reason for that. However, I think it's a great opportunity and challenge for the Indiana offense in order to play the Indiana brand of ball that we want to play and in order to go against such a great defense.
Our next question comes from Sammy Jacobs.
Hi, Fernando. Ohio State has Caleb Downs at safety. What makes him such a unique and excellent player?
I would say his versatility. Whenever I'm watching film, the way that he's able to rotate down, affect the run game, the way that he's able to match whether it's zone or man, and lock down that receiver, or the way that he's able to flip his hips and drive on a seam ball, or just any ball in general, is truly special. A player that is able to play effectively at all three levels is always something that you got to consider. And I think that the nation has taken notice and given him the hype that he deserves, as he is one of the best defensive players in the country for a reason. And it's going to be a great opportunity to go against a safety like that, especially as a quarterback. Your eyes are always on the safeties, and you're always trying to evaluate the safeties, as that's a big part of the structure of the defense. And that's why you always hear Tom Brady talking about Ed Reed so much, because that was a great safety that he played against. And I feel like now I have a great opportunity to go against a great safety who's going to play in the NFL one day.
Got time for one or two more. Our next question comes from Jeff Rabjohns.
Yeah, Fernando, just wanted to get your thoughts. Your receiving core is one of the elite receiving cores in the country by numbers, by accolades, by awards. In your opinion, what makes them elite?
I would say the way that they work together. Our receiving core is so close, whether it's EJ, Surratt, Cooper, or Charlie Becker. All those guys, they understand the assignment, they understand the offense, they have a very high football IQ, and they're also selfless in a way where if Elijah's having a big game, they're all happy for Elijah. If Coop's having a big game, they're all happy for Coop, because they understand that our receiving core has so many threats and so many weapons that defenses are going to try to double team one of them, or in a play, or maybe in a third down, and it might open up another, or give one-on-one, and one of those guys a one-on-one matchup. And that is so special to have as a quarterback, where all the receivers on the field are always going to, well, I have confidence that they're always going to win their one-on-one matchup, because they're so talented and they have such a high football IQ. And it's truly just an honor to be their quarterback. And I'm in a very blessed position to throw the ball to them.
Our last question for Fernando today will go to Dan Hope. Dan, go ahead.
Hey, Fernando, have you met Julian Sain at all, and just what are your impressions of watching him?
Yes. So Julian Sain and I have never officially met. However, through high school, we used a similar quarterback coach. And I've always seen him through social media, and especially this year, playing in the Big Ten, we've had a lot of overlap games, whether it was Wisconsin, there's just so many games that they played teams before us, and we were able to watch their film. So it was always a great experience, being able to watch the Ohio State offense, the way that they're calling the plays, their receivers, their entire offense, and also Julian Sain as well. And I really respect Julian. He is so effective, and he fits the offense perfectly. He, as a quarterback, I like to say that, stats aren't everything, but as a quarterback, I would say every quarterback prides himself on completion percentage, and his completion percentage is out of this world. To see that, it's a lot of respect from my part to his, of having such a high completion percentage and being able to operate that offense as an X factor player over there. And it's going to be I believe it's going to be a great quarterback matchup, and it's an honor to play against them, and hopefully to meet them for the first time after the game. And I think it's going to be a great experience for the both of us. This is going to be both of our first championship game, and what a great opportunity and blessing to play against such a fantastic team in Ohio State, fantastic defense, and a fantastic offense with a great quarterback.
Fernando, thank you very much. Good luck this week.
Thank you guys so much. God bless.